Hello, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. So, I am super jazzed and super excited to be sharing this because what I'm about to share is a way of life that works. Now, this video is specifically directed towards people who are struggling with very extreme addiction, yet the same principles apply and can be helpful to anyone and everyone. So, the 12 steps are actually a path of recognizing that the way we've been living life hasn't worked, that there is a higher principle, whether you call it God, higher power, spirit of the universe, life, love, wisdom, doesn't really matter. But the recognition that there is a principle, a power, a force, a being. It's up to the individual to define it, but that there is a higher power that can help and guide our lives. And then dedicating our lives to living in alignment with that. Here's the attitude. Um, here's what the the summary of this. And that's really an attitude, if you think about it. It's just a fundamental way of being and orienting towards life. And this is from the book Alcoholics Anonymous, aka the Big Book of, and this is page 62. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in the drama of life, God, and let's pause, and in the 12-step discipline, really what it is it's a way of life and a spiritual discipline and practice. Each person gets to define what that word God means. In fact, it explicitly says God as we understood. It says him. I wish it said it, but as we understood him. So again, this is the how and why of it. First, we had to quit playing God. It doesn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in the drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal. We are his agents. He is the father. We are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer. God's the boss. Higher power is the boss. Love is the boss. Being all powerful, he provided what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves and our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. So as you can see, the 12 steps aren't just like going to a meeting or, you know, a bunch of self-help tips. And that's part of it. Going to meetings are very supportive, and learning how to do self-care, take care of ourselves on all levels, it's an important life skill. But that's not really what the 12 steps are about. The 12 steps are about a radical reorientation to life. They're like, hey, higher power, you're in charge. You're the boss. I'm the employee. You're the master. I'm the servant, in the sense that I'm here to serve you. So that's a little abstract, but what does that look like in actual practice? So this is from page 84 of the same book. And this is after having worked through some of the steps and having a spiritual awakening. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. So once you have an awakening and you really commit to being like, okay, life, I'm here to serve you, contribute to you. Like, thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for relieving me of this deadly addiction. I'm here to serve you. And to become, as it says here, to become better and better, more efficient at serving and staying connected to that higher power. So the next thing I'm going to read is page 86. Each day we must carry the vision of God's will into all our activities. What does God's will mean? It means following this higher principle. Each of us are free to define that principle how we will. But one of the key things is to live in alignment with it. If you define God as love, then to live in alignment with love. If you define higher power as Christ, then to live in alignment with Christ and ask, okay, what would Christ have me do? What would love have me do? What would higher power have me do? Again, each day, and so that's what's meant by God's will. Each day is a day in which we must carry the vision of God's will into our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts with much which must go with us constantly. It means all throughout the day, seeking, and it's a practice. We start, maybe we do it once a day, and then learn to all day long be like, okay, higher power, what would you have me do? Okay, higher power, you're in charge. How can I serve you? Okay, higher power, what's next? What's the next thing you would have me do? So as you can see, this becomes a way of life, a way of staying connected to this higher principle, higher power, and then living it. It's like if your higher power is love, being connected to love, and then living a life of love. If your higher power is Christ, being connected to Christ and letting him lead you, etc., etc., etc. So, again, and this is from page 87. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves that we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, "Thy will be done." We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. So that's what the original sort of creators of the 12 steps realized, is that it's us trying to manipulate life from a selfish point of view that exhausts us. And when we're agitated or discontent, then that's because we're disconnected from God and we're trying to force our way. So the part of the process is, when that happens, noticing, recognizing, oh, okay, I've disconnected from God. I'm trying to run the show. And then saying to yourself, remind yourself, oh yeah, I'm not running the show anymore. God is. Thy will be done. What's the next step? What would you have me do? So as you can see, the 12 steps aren't about going to meetings. The 12 steps aren't about, the actual 12 steps aren't about attending meetings. And the actual 12 steps aren't about stopping drinking or stopping compulsive overeating or whatever the addiction is. The 12 steps are about living in conscious connection and, in a sense, you could say, relationship with a higher power and being guided by it all through the day. And when we do that, then the addiction just gets lifted. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. I wish you a day of tuning in to inspiration, of acknowledging, like, hey, uh, a spiritual teacher I really enjoy says, you know, when our ego is trying to live life, it's like a monkey trying to fly the space shuttle. But when we surrender to infinite intelligence, wisdom, it's a little more qualified to fly the space shuttle than the monkey. So I'm a monkey. I am. Monkeys are smart. Addiction took me to the place of being a stumbling, bumbling, suicidal idiot who almost ended his life multiple times. I'm not qualified to run my life because when I do, I take myself to the place of almost killing myself and create disasters and wrecks over and over. So I'm taking my hands off the steering wheel and saying, okay, God, you lead, I'll follow. You're in charge. It can sound a little old fashioned, but the thing is, what we're talking about is living a life of inspiration as opposed to desperation. Thank you so much for dropping by. Much love.